Good evening, I'm Prarambha Bahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Nepali Congress and CPN-UML prepare to furnish claim for the new government immediately after conclusion of Prime Minister's floor test. Agreement between the two parties to be made public tomorrow as well. Federal and provincial governments indifferent towards relief and resettlement after disasters. Displaced victims of Kantipur awaiting relief for the past 4 days. Local levels struggling to operate without required resources. Israel and Hamas reportedly agreed to hand over control of the Gaza Strip to a new Palestinian force during the crucial second stage of a three-phase proposal for ceasefire and hostage release deal. And Nepal women's team aiming to win gold at the Kava Under-20 Volleyball's tournament. Identify need for improvement in blocking and quick spikes. Nepali Congress and CPN-UML have made preparations to furnish claim for the formation of a new government to President Ramchandra Paudel immediately after Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal fails to clear the floor test at the House of Representatives tomorrow. As Prime Minister Dahal is certain not to receive the vote of confidence, a call will be made for formation of a new government as provisioned by the sub-article 2 of Article 76 of the Constitution of Nepal by the President tomorrow, for which Nepali Congress and CPN-UML have made preparations. Second-tier members of the two parties held talks throughout the day regarding the share of ministerial portfolios. Leaders of two parties have also reached agreement regarding inclusion of Janata Samajwadi Party Nepal, Nagarik Unmukti and Loktantrik Samajwadi Party in the government, as these entities are to support the new political equation. UML has already assigned the responsibility of selecting ministers to party chair KP Sharma Oli, while Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deua is holding talks with his party members about the same as well. General Secretary duo of Nepali Congress Gagan Thapa and Vishwa Prakash Sharma have already said that they will not be a part of the new government in capacity of ministers. It has been learnt that there will be two deputy prime ministers in the UML chair Oli-led government. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress and CPN-UML have directed their parliamentarians for mandatory attendance at tomorrow's meeting of the House of Representatives and to vote against the trust vote. Rashtriya Prajatantra Party has also decided from its parliamentary party meeting to vote against Prime Minister Dahal's floor test. Only Prime Minister Dahal's own party, CPN Maya Center, Rashtriya Swatantra Party and CPN Unified Socialist have appeared in his support. These three parties have a combined 63 seats at the parliament. The Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal is to seek the vote of confidence from tomorrow's meeting of the House of Representatives. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal is to address the House of Representatives after presenting his proposal to seek the vote of confidence at tomorrow's meeting of the House of Representatives, which is called for 11 a.m. The political parties represented at the House of Representatives will then air their statements on the Prime Minister's proposal, after which the Prime Minister will furnish answers to questions raised at the Parliament. The proposal for vote of confidence will then be presented for a decision. The Parliament Secretariat will make public the result after conclusion of the voting on the Prime Minister's proposal, while President Ramchandra Paudel will be informed about the result tomorrow itself. The General Secretary of CPN-UML, Shankar Pokhrel, has said the 7-point agreement between UML and Nepali Congress will be published tomorrow. Pokhrel said so while speaking at a special talk with Kantipur News, adding that constitution amendment, consensus government and good governance were the priority in the agreement. He said the two parties will seek for a base for political stability and discuss on either raising the election threshold % or merging the proportionate system into direct election. Pokhrel added that while as many parties were needed during movements, now just the two parties would suffice for stability and development of the country. He claimed that any party with less than 10% votes could not be an alternative force and that the two parties had agreed to partner till the next election for the sake of the country's future and the public. Ruling and opposition parties have alleged each other for the impact on the meetings of the National Assembly and the House of Representatives. CPN-UML and Nepali Congress, among 4 opposition parties, shared their concerns over the meeting of the National Assembly being postponed by issuing a notice today. Meanwhile, CPN Maya Center has alleged of conspiracies to fail the budget. Meeting of the National Assembly was postponed after Nepali Congress and CPN-UML made preparations to pass the amendment on the contents of the budget introduced by Finance Minister Barshaman Pun. If the amendment proposal was endorsed, it would have reached the House of Representatives with recommendations. If the House of Representatives accepts the recommendations, the budget needs to be revisited. In such a situation, ethical questions would have been raised on Finance Minister Boshaman Pun and Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal. After understanding such strategy of Nepali Congress and CPN-UML, Finance Minister Pun did not just remain firm on his stance of declining the amendment proposal, he did not attend the meeting as well. After the minister did not show up, National Assembly Chairperson Narayan Dahal postponed the meeting by issuing a notice. Terming the move of the National Assembly Chair wrong, Nepali Congress, CPN-UML, Janata Samajwadi Party and Loktantrik Samajwadi Party shared their concerns by issuing a release. Meeting of the House of Representatives was also postponed because of the meeting of the Council of Ministers and the National Assembly. Political parties have alleged each other for the meeting not taking place. Based on the legal arrangements, ministers must be present during the meeting. The government has stepped back from the decision to make the national identity card a mandatory requirement to receive social security service. Today's meeting of the Council of Ministers has decided to postpone the previous decision of making the national ID card a mandatory requirement for services related to social security. Saying the public were facing difficulties to make their national ID cards because of floods, landslides and inundations in several parts of the country, the decision has been postponed. The meeting has also decided to approve the agreement to be signed between the governments of Nepal and China titled Strengthening the Development Cooperation in Building the Trans-Himalayan Multi-Dimension Connectivity Network. It is now time for a short break, but for more news, to stay with us. While the losses of lives and properties were increasing across the country because of disasters, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal took stock of the damages at the control room inside Singhadarbar and directed all government departments to get involved in rescue and relief measures. At least 80 deaths have been reported in floods, landslides and inundations since monsoon entered Nepal on 10th of June. However, the ministers from the federal and provincial governments have not made any effort to address the plight of the victims. Representatives of the local levels have made their presence felt, but they do not have experience and resources for rescue and relief measures. The local levels that can be seen in the front line with police and army need to be strengthened. Incessant rainfall have caused floods, landslides and inundation in several parts of the country. Losses of lives and properties have also increased in most districts. Impact of the monsoon-induced disasters have been seen in roads, bridges, houses and even arable land. The Meteorological Forecasting Division has alerted everyone about more than average rainfall this monsoon. However, despite just warnings, the government and stakeholders remain indifferent, because of which the local levels were left alone to deal with the wrath of monsoon and subsequent disasters. In such a situation, the local levels have not been able to make much difference because of lack of resources. Local level disaster management committees are led by the chair of the local levels. The officials of the local levels have said that such committees are only for the name. The entities that have barely managed one or two heavy equipment vehicles such as excavators to clear the landslide debris do not have capacities, including information technology, to predict disasters and assess and curb damages. They are compelled to seek support from the district level disaster management committee led by the chief district officer. Despite the local levels paying the government next door for these citizens, these entities, in spite of their willingness to address public issues, are compelled to knock the doors of the provincial and federal governments. It is imperative for the government to strengthen the local levels with required resources so that they can function better during disasters. Record rainfall was reported in Kantipur from July 5 to 8. According to the Meteorological Forecasting Division, highest rainfall was reported in Kantipur this year since record keeping began 78 years ago. 70% of Kantipur was inundated by incessant rainfall, while more than 4,000 local residents were displaced and massive losses of lives and properties were reported. The floods in the Mahakali and Jogbuda rivers inundated most settlements of Dodhara Chandani. Despite the lapse of 3 days since the flood, the federal and provincial governments are yet to announce relief packages. Floods have caused massive losses of lives and properties. However, all responsibilities are being carried out by the local governments, while the federal and provincial governments have remained quiet. They seem busy in political ploys to retain power or to form government under their leadership. In such a situation, the public cannot expect much from the government. Also, in such a situation, the local levels do not have exact and official data on the damages caused by floods. In absence of detailed data, they are in a state of dilemma regarding the way forward for required relief resources and resettlement of the victims. floods have swept several houses and arable land. The victims have shared their grievances regarding the indifference of the government despite losses of their properties. Taking refuge at local schools, the victims are not sure about when they would be able to return to a place they could call home. In our Public Voice segment, we've asked who should support the local government during disasters and how. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
नागरिकहरूले पनि अब सही सूचना दिएर स्थानीय सरकारलाई चाहिँ सहयोग गर्न पर्यो।
त्यहाँको स्थानीय प्रहरीहरू जिल्ला प्रहरी कार्यालय सेनाहरूले पनि सहयोग गर्न जरुरी छ।
युवाहरू चाहिँ जागरुक भएपछि अझ छिटो छरितो चाहिँ कामहरू गर्न सकिन्छ।
नेपालीलाई सहयोग गरिदिए बाढ पीडितलाई केही राहत वितरण गरिदिए सजिलो हुन्थ्यो।
संस्थाहरूले गर्नु पर्यो, अरु सरकारले पनि गर्नु पर्यो।
एनजीओ आईएनजीओ ठुलठुला नेताहरूले सबैले सहयोग गर्नुपर्छ।
तुरुन्तै हामीले राहत दिने र उद्धार गर्ने कार्यक्रम गरिराखेका छौं।
प्रदेश र संघले पनि स्थानीय सरकारलाई चाहिँ सपोर्ट गर्दै देखि
धर्मतिर लाग्ने मान्छेले पनि यसलाई चाहिँ हेर्नुपर्ने सबै समस्या परेको हुन्छ।
विभिन्न राजनीतिक दलहरूले सहयोग गर्नुपर्छ।
जनताहरू पनि हाम्रो लागि हो भनेर हामी टोलबाट र सबै ठाउँबाट हामी आफै उठ्नुपर्छ।
Official of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Nirmal Bista, who applied pressure to send people abroad on visit visas, has been arrested. Saying talks had been held with Minister for Home Affairs Ravi Lamichhane, his Secretariat and Home Secretary Eknaran Orial, Bista, who had been working in the capacity of a computer operator at the ministry for the past 6 years, had applied pressure on 31 International Airport Immigration Office Chief Suresh Panthi not to stop 20 individuals who were about to travel to other countries via Thailand on 5th of July. Panthi denied the pressure and questioned at the ministry, after which Bista's wrongdoings had surfaced. After finding about Bista's involvement in the irregularities, Home Secretary Orial relieved Bista from his duty on 9th of July. The Home Minister then decided to arrest Bista from the ministry today. He is in the custody of Human Trafficking Investigation Bureau for required investigations. Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday we asked, what should be done to stop the exploitation of lands of Bharatpur Hospital? 52% were for A, action against exploiters, 27% were for B, vacate the encroached area, and 21% were for C, strengthen laws. And here is our today's question. Why have industrialists hesitated to pay fees despite using dedicated and trunk lines? Your options are A, injustice from the authority, B, indifferent industrialists, and C, follow the directives. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the international news. Israel and the Hamas have agreed to hand over control of the Gaza Strip to a new Palestinian force during the crucial second stage of a three-phase proposal for a ceasefire and hostage prisoner release deal in the war-torn territory, the Washington Post reported Wednesday. Citing unnamed U.S. officials, the report by commentator David Ignatius said that a U.S.-trained force of 2,500 supporters of the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority would be charged with security in Gaza. Members of the force are to be drawn from those who are already in Gaza and have been vetted by Israel. The force would also be backed by moderate Arab states, the report said. American, Qatari and Egyptian mediators would strive to keep the talks going until all the agreements are reached and Phase 2 is able to begin, the resolution says. During the first six-week phase of the truce, Hamas would release 33 hostages, including all female prisoners, all men over the age of 50, and all wounded prisoners, the Post said. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian security prisoners, and the Israel Defense Forces would withdraw from heavily populated areas in Gaza and move toward the eastern border with Israel. In the second phase, Hamas would release the male soldiers it is holding hostage, and the two sides would negotiate an agreement on a permanent end to the fighting and a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. The third phase would consist of a multi-year reconstruction plan for Gaza, which has been devastated by the war and during which the bodies of the remaining dead hostages would be returned to Israel. We have more news coming up, but right now it is time for yet another short break. Time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
With their match against Sri Lanka on 18th of July, Team Nepal are to make their debut at the Kava Under-20 Women's Volleyball Tournament. And despite a training of a short period, the young Nepali Eves are aiming to win gold at the tournament. Now, formed for the first time and participating in their maiden international tournament, the age group side appear confident. Strengths of the team include wing and open spike, while the coach and captain have identified block and quick spike as areas for improvement. The Under-20 women's volleyball team was prepared on the basis of the performances at the Under-19 National Volleyball Tournament, which was held in Kathmandu from June 23 to 29. The same team will represent Nepal at the Under-20 Women's Kava Championship in the Maldives and are aiming to win the tournament in their maiden participation. Despite having to prepare in a short period of time, Team Nepal have worked hard. Players from different provinces and clubs have also gelled together in the national team. Despite it being their first international tournament, the players appear very confident. Coach and captains have identified some room for improvement in blocking and quick spikes aspects of their game. Team Nepal begin their tournament with a clash against Sri Lanka on 18th of July. They will then play Kyrgyzstan on 19th of July and the Maldives on 20th of July. The Nepal women's volleyball team have been achieving notable success in recent time. Competition has increased among the players to earn their spot in the national team because of production of many good quality spikers. Therefore, most players are aiming to perform their best at the Kava Under-20 Championship to secure their place in the national team. That is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.